This is the story of the grim adventures of Billy and Mandy. In the beginning, there was nothing but darkness, and then came Grim. A Grim Reaper whose sole purpose in life was to take souls to the afterlife. One day, he got bored and decided to start playing games with the mortals on Earth, which usually involves scaring them to death. But one day, he went a little too far, when he frightened a kid named Billy so much that he died from an aneurysm. Now, because Billy had no unfinished business, no fears or regrets, Grim had to escort him to Spideyland immediately. However, on the way, they were stopped by a giant spider who demanded that they play a game. If Grim won, he could take Billy's soul to Spideyland. But if the spider won, it would get to devour Billy. Grim accepted the challenge, and the game began. The first round consisted of traversing a series of mazes where Billy and Grim had to stick together in order to avoid getting lost. The spider could only attack them once they separated, and after a lot of back and forth, they managed to reach the end of the maze together. So the spider took them to the second round, which was a battle arena. The spider sent its minions to attack, but Grim dispatched them as... Then it sent some of its children, but those didn't fare any better. And then it sent its mate, who ended up losing as well. Finally, the spider itself attacked, but Grim simply grabbed it and tossed it into the lava below. And that was the last we saw of the giant spider. As they continued their journey, Grim explained to Billy that when he scared him to death, he didn't actually mean for him to die. Billy replied that he understood and that he wasn't mad at all. In fact, he thanked Grim for giving him a chance to go to Spideyland. Suddenly, Billy started glowing green and transformed into a baby. Turns out the stress from nearly being eaten by a giant spider caused his molecules to declump and age him backwards. Since Billy was now in a diaper and couldn't control his bodily functions, Grim threw him over his shoulder and continued on. At this point, Grim was starting to feel bad about what he did to Billy, so he made a wish that things could be different. Suddenly, they heard a loud crash and turned around to see a portal that led to the underworld. On the other side, a demon offered Grim a choice. He could either keep his job as a Grim Reaper or he could retire and have his own personal hell where he could do whatever he wanted. He chose the latter. Then he turned to Billy and told him that he would be returning to Earth, but with amnesia, so that he wouldn't remember what happened. After saying goodbye, Grim returned home. But the next day, he got a visit from the demon who informed him that Billy was causing mass destruction on Earth, destroying entire cities. Grim tried to tell the demon that he let Billy return home by accident, but he didn't listen and vanished before he could finish his sentence. Grim had no choice but to return to Earth and find Billy before he did any more damage. He looked all over town, but he couldn't find him anywhere. And then he checked inside the house where he left him and found that it was empty. Outside, he met up with the demon who was looking for Billy as well, and he learned that Billy had run away from home. Grim and the demon teamed up and went out into the woods to find Billy. They eventually spotted him sitting on a tree stump and approached cautiously. Grim asked Billy if he remembered anything, but he said that he had no idea who Grim even was. Grim was relieved that he had no memories of the incident, but the demon was furious and attacked. Billy was frightened and ran away, but Grim stopped the demon and told him to let Billy go. He said that he would personally take care of Billy. The demon reluctantly agreed. From there, Grim brought Billy back home and adopted him as his apprentice. And over time, Billy grew up and became a normal 13-year-old boy. One day, Grim was taking Billy to school on his giant scythe. When they passed by a cemetery, Billy asked if he could stop and take a look, and Grim allowed him. As they walked through the graveyard, Billy noticed the gravestone of a girl named Mandy and asked if she was related to Grim. He said that he didn't know, but he knew that she was special. Suddenly, the ground rumbled and Mandy rose from her grave, with a zombie horde following closely behind. Billy was terrified, but Grim told him not to worry because he had a plan. He directed the zombies towards a church, knowing that they were drawn to holy grounds. Then he and Billy climbed to the top of the clock tower to watch the show. From there, they saw the zombies enter the church and blow it up, killing them all. Once the coast was clear, Grim and Billy headed home. When they arrived, they saw a news report on TV talking about the explosion at the church. Billy was shocked to learn that Mandy was his best friend's sister, and Grim was shocked to learn that Mandy was immortal. As soon as the news report ended, Mandy appeared inside the living room and confronted Grim. She was angry that he didn't tell her that Billy was alive, but he said that he didn't think she would care. Mandy argued that she did care, but Grim interrupted her and told her that he had something to say. He apologized for not taking a soul when he had the chance years ago, but she didn't want him to apologize. She told him to never speak to her again and vanished. Billy was confused as to why she was so upset, and Grim simply told him to forget about it. That night, Billy had a nightmare about Mandy blowing up the church and killing him, Grim, and the rest of the townspeople. He woke up screaming and ran outside to escape the house. Grim followed after him and brought him back in. Then he explained to Billy that he had a gift for him, a magic amulet that would protect him from harm. Billy thanked him and wore it around his neck. Later that day, Billy and his new friend Erwin were playing video games until suddenly the doorbell rang. It was Mandy, who informed them that she needed Billy's help. She explained that she was having trouble controlling the zombies and that she needed someone to harvest their brains for her. Billy was disgusted, but he agreed anyway. Grim was watching from the shadows and smiled, thinking that this was going to be fun. Meanwhile, deep within the underworld, the demon was hanging out with the giant spider from earlier, and they were both enjoying a bowl of popcorn while watching a movie. Suddenly, the screen changed, and they saw Mandy's army of zombies attacking the town. The demon laughed and said that it was finally time for him to get revenge on Grim. Back on Earth, Mandy, Billy, and Erwin were searching the woods for food when they came across a cabin. Mandy knocked on the door and introduced herself, and when the old woman answered, she asked if she could use the phone. After making a few calls, the woman invited them in. For dinner, Billy sat at the table with Mandy and Erwin while Grim watched from the window. At first, everything seemed fine, but then the woman started serving them dishes full of bugs and worms. Billy was grossed out and refused to eat, but Grim told him that they shouldn't judge the food until they tried it. So Billy took a bite and immediately spit it out. He told the woman that it tasted terrible, but she insisted that he try just one more time. As she reached for his plate, he pushed it away, and she transformed into a monster. It turned out that she was a witch who lured people into her house and turned them into fertilizer for her garden. Billy screamed and ran outside while Mandy and Erwin fought the witch. As Billy was running, he tripped over a log and broke his glasses. He started crying, believing that he was going to be next. But suddenly, the witch froze and vanished into thin air. It turns out Mandy had used her voodoo magic to defeat her. After thanking Mandy, Billy picked up his broken glasses and headed home. He stopped on the way to check out the graveyard and saw Mandy standing next to a fresh grave. He asked who it was, and she responded that it was just a skeleton who needed somewhere to rest. Billy wanted to pay his respects, but Mandy told him to leave. She didn't want anyone to know that she was there. As Billy was leaving, he felt the ground shake and watched Mandy's grave open up. She crawled out and told Billy that she needed his help once again. It turns out that the spirit of the dead tree from earlier possessed her body, and now she needed Billy to perform a ritual that would banish it. Billy didn't want to at first, but then he realized that he didn't have a choice. If he refused, then she would be stuck like this forever. So Billy and Mandy performed the ritual, but it didn't work, and the tree spirit started to gain control over her. Billy tried again, but this time, the tree spirit knocked him out. When he awoke, he saw that the tree spirit had completely taken over Mandy and was draining her life force. Billy panicked and hit the tree spirit with a shovel. It reverted back into its original form and entered Mandy's body. But before it could possess her, Billy grabbed the amulet Grim gave him and pressed it against her chest. It glowed brightly, banishing the tree spirit and saving Mandy's life. Mandy was grateful and told Billy that he was free to do whatever he wanted. She then vanished, leaving Billy alone in the graveyard. He thought about how amazing his life was now, that he was friends with Mandy and had an awesome magic amulet. And then he went home. At this point, you should probably subscribe. There's going to be plenty more grim adventures